only person to have anything but support this to.
Take out teams.
They are helpers. To
Freezing.
This will kill you quicker than usual. The chocolate, dude. Well, I'm
You know what the words are. I'm glad you went to the class.
I like this view. My head's a lot shinier than I like it to be. Yes. What the ball guy said.
We're waiting on Ted back. Give you that contact. All right, so we're calling the meeting back to order at 8:49 p.m. Okay. We have received legal input regarding item 2A from legal counsel and have discussed 3A, our action item 3A that was also on our agenda tonight. We went ahead and did that. And discussed 3A with legal counsel and no action on any executive session items. Okay. All right. Discussion.
Can I say a couple things as we?
Wait 1 second. Do y'all want to go first? How do you want to do this?
I mean, this gentleman wants to speak. I'll let him.
Okay, we'll let him speak.
Thank you. Earlier, it was said that the only hardship that had been identified was financial, and that's just not the case. Strict adherence to the ordinance in this case would require the planting of 70 more trees. As far as I've been told, it hasn't changed since the rains. The Texas Water Company is not issuing irrigation permits to commercial properties. So if I'm forced to plant 70 more trees, I can't water. And the rule says that every year they have to be inspected, and if they die, I have to replant it. So you're guaranteeing extraordinary costs. I did some research, and I understand that cost alone cannot be the sole basis for a variance, but it can be part of the basis for a variance. So there's more to it than that. As I mentioned, there's also our desire with the cultivation we've done on the landscape so far for ourselves and for the community to be able to come forth and enjoy this beautiful, mature forest full of wildflowers and not having 6-inch diameter toothpicks scattered about it, which will require destruction of those flowers, disrupt and harm that beautiful scenery that we have right now, and force those trees to compete with the existing trees, which will tower over them their entire existence. So there are more than one hardship. And I believe that the water crisis that our community will always continue to face, and in and of itself is a hardship, given the circumstances of this particular project and this particular piece of property. There was a comment made about protecting the citizens. Y'all's packet has over 50 signatures or emailed letters from mostly residents of Bulverde and Spring Branch, I'll give you that, supporting this variance request in detail, saying both sections of this variance. There is a number of people here tonight that are here to support that as well, and I believe that y'all may have received some additional emails since this packet was published on Monday. There's only been one voice of concern so far, the gentleman in the back. The community supports our project, and from what I've seen in my several times being before council, both being before council and just sitting in for different things, I can't remember seeing more than 5 people who took the time to comment on an application. I've probably got closer to 60 at this point. The community loves what we put together here because this is so perfectly aligned with the Bulverde downtown village vision, the desires of people who live in the hill country, and the tree ordinance. The language in that says, a variance may be granted only when in harmony and with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance. I feel that we've demonstrated the whole project design, our whole heart for this community and for this project that aligns with the purpose of the ordinance. In my opinion, this project should be considered, if we're talking about precedent, although I think that this project should be a model for development in the hill country. And I would think that with the support of the community that we've demonstrated, I would hope that the council could see it the same way and see this as what it is, an opportunity to show anybody coming in, this is what we want to see. this kind of project. Last thing I'd like to say, until further questions or discussion, is if we could go to the drip line exhibit, please. Well, what I want to point out, if y'all have it maybe in front of you, is that the orange trees are the trees that would be impacted by that particular variance. That is not an indication of the impact. The impact would be in like 9 out of 10 of those trees, the slight little deviation into the drip line. Like I said, I'd like to look at it, but I think I want to make sure everybody was clear about what that exhibit was showing. Those are just marking these trees would be within that. And only a few of them, those sitting over the existing driveway, would have more than a matter of inches to a couple of feet on very large trees up under the drip line. I guess. Councilman Hawkins, have you been able to hear me tonight? I didn't realize there was a microphone sitting in front of my.
Absolutely, I've been able to hear every word you've said.
Great, thank you, sir.
Okay. Comments? Anybody have a comment?
No.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna make a motion. Okay. I move that the city council grant a variance applicable to the property from section 17.06.009D and 17.06.0105 to the Code of Ordinances in the following manner. The applicant may provide fee in lieu of mitigation for removal of up to 50% of the caliper inches of trees identified in the columns labeled as removal, driveways, and removal pond in table 1. Attached here too, attached to the packet. Without the need to provide any certification from an arborist or other professional. No further mitigation will be required for removal of the remaining trees identified in said columns. The fee in lieu of payment shall be calculated on the basis of $300 per caliper inch of tree removed. 2. The applicant shall not be eligible to utilize existing trees meeting the definition of replacement trees to reduce the fee in lieu requirements of this variance.
Ma'am, can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry, I missed that.
The applicant shall not be eligible to utilize existing trees meeting the definition of replacement trees to reduce the fee in lieu of requirements of this variance. And number 3, the variance only applies to the trees identified in the columns labeled as removal driveways and removal pond in table 1.
I'll second that.
Mayor, I want to verify the variance to 1706 and 5, the drip line.
Yes.
No longer.
Oh, that's right. Correct. In 1706.010.5 to the Code of Ordinance about the drip line has been removed. And we have a second.
I do have a question. So, Danny, what would be the economic impact on the city to mitigate any effects that this development would have on the city?
Well, the whole purpose of the tree ordinance, or one of the largest ones, that our drainage and stormwater, the community from increased runoff and lower quality runoff, increased velocity of runoff, and things like that. So if 100% of a variance was granted, the city would be liable to see certainly an increase in stormwater volume and velocity. We'd also see a decrease in the quality of stormwater, which would be a threat to public health. Eventually, the city would have to deal with that off-site, not just for this project, but any project that's true of any of them.
So there's some future money that we would have to,
in my opinion, yes, we would. There would be granting a variance could have financial impacts down the road. The more of a variance is granted, the higher the risk that the community has to mitigate the damage.
So the money, the fee for this is not arbitrary. It's to address future needs.
No, that's correct. And the city went through a process establishing what the fee should be. It's $300 per caliber inch per previous council action. And the goal, and specific to this one, most likely the trees would be planted directly adjacent to the site of the parkland that the city acquired a few years ago.
Councilman Hawkins is able to vote tonight, so we will take a vote of everybody here.
Can I ask what removed as to the drip line means?
That means
It's been-
that they're not granting any variance to the drip line requirement.
So denied.
Yes, that's
So we're ready for a vote. We'll take a vote. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Council Hawkins has voted.
Aye.
All of those abstain? All of those who are not opposed?
Opposed.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so we have 1 opposed and 5 in. So the motion passes.
Want a copy of what was discussed?
We'll be planning today and check out.
All right. I do have to leave.
Yes.
And then, so, thank you. Thank you. All right, guys.
All right.
Best of luck, sir.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to 2B, we'll hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bulverde, Texas, amending Chapter 3, building regulations, City of Bulverde Code of Ordinance by amending Article 3.08.102, permitted sign structures and general regulations to define sizing and a method of area calculation for attached building signs.
Mayor and council, we had brought this ordinance forward at the last council meeting, and a few council members had expressed a desire to see some demonstrative exhibits before voting on it. So we have produced those, and just when we get them brought up here, I'll show them. As I mentioned previously, the city establishes a maximum sign size for attached signs, but doesn't provide any method for calculating that. And that's led to disparate treatment of different signs over the years. So staff has been asking council to to establish a measuring methodology. At the last meeting, you limited it or narrowed the scope down to 2. To be simple, the first option is that the sign area is calculated based on a rectangle, circle, or triangle, the smallest one that will contain the entire sign. And the second option is that same rectangle, triangle, or circle that will contain the words and logos on the sign, but does not include the entire sign structure. And so here are some examples. Our ordinance determines how much you get based on the width of your building and the speed limit of the road you are on. So this first example, we've gone to the maximum just to make it visible. So this is a 200-foot wide building on a road with more than 50 miles an hour speed limit in front of it. The signs on the left are measured with the sign structure and all elements of the sign included inside the box. And the signs on the right are just the logos and letters. So you can see that the signs on the right end up being considerably larger than the signs on the left. That's building for scale. You can kind of imagine what those signs look like. You might be able to draw a distinction or a judgment on what you think, which column of signs fits that building, in your opinion. And then give us direction on which, and then of course we have others. Go to the next one. This is for, let's go back up to where I can read the caption. Less than 50 miles an hour. So scroll down a little bit. And you guys have these in your packet too, but I just want to cover them all. And this is for, we did want to do a smaller building. So this is a 100-foot wide building. You can go ahead and bring the building into the picture with less than 50 mile an hour speed limit. And so you can get a feel for the difference in the magnitude of the signs under the two measuring methodologies. I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
No, this is good.
This helps.
Yeah.
This helps
a lot.
This helps a lot visualize.
This does.
Okay, we do have a public speaker, Tom Hopkins. To be.
Real quick, I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. We've got 600 plus members in our organization. We've got a lot of economics in the city. And I would ask two things. One, we've got several projects that are under active development that are changed midstream, potentially in process. It may not have applied for some permit yet, but for construction, I can see how this could, having a strict implication of midstream and project could provide some challenges for them. And then two, I mentioned it at the last meeting, and I think it's still applicable, is, sitting back there was, I've looked at this on my computer screen, but sitting back there looking at some of those from a perspective, maybe my eyes are going bad, but I couldn't read some of those in the context of the face of the building and the sign that was placed in one of those examples. So I think the purpose of a sign obviously is direct traffic, identification of a building for easy access for conducting commerce. And so I fully agree with having a standardized version of the metric. I think that's 100% responsible. It makes it easy on staff and easy on the applicant to understand what they're actually submitting for. The question, though, then comes down to, if you take and change the way signs are measured, putting that standard on there, a inverse decision matrix would be, okay, are the sizes appropriate that's allowed in the current code based on the speeds of the roads that are there? A lot of these roads, the setbacks in the building faces are significantly far behind a tree line or whatever. And we love our trees. I mean, we just had a long conversation about trees and saving them. We almost need a large, if you have more trees, you almost need a larger sign to be able to penetrate through that tree canopy and say, okay, is that what I'm looking for? One of the most frustrating things that I've ever experienced, I was driving through Florida, and the signs were so small you couldn't navigate and find, I'm trying to meet someone at Chili's, where's Chili's? Oh, until you go around through every parking lot, you couldn't find Chili's and finally find. So anyway, I think my comment would be, have a standard. I think it's good. If I had to recommend one as a, something that was kind of a mid-road, the second-hand column, not the structure, but the sign and logo. That way, the actual advertising face and the logo of the sign would be the sign, absent changing the allotted square footage due to the blank space that has been created within the largest square or the largest circle or the largest triangle. I'm out of space. We're out of time. I appreciate your time consideration.
Thank you.
Comments?
I really think that the left-hand column is the only one that really reflects what a sign is. If we're just looking at the words on a sign,
Right.
that's not the entire sign. The trade dress, the design, the design of commercial signs, they have certain color schemes, they have certain stuff. This wouldn't take into account
Right.
that.
So option two, it's by definition the lettering. Is that just lettering or is it logo?
It'd be lettering and logos,
Yeah, so-
although that put us sometimes in a sticky situation of trying to differentiate on a
Right.
But because like Texaco, is a circle around the star part? Probably.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
like-
is
like-
the black around it? No. Yes.
Right, like you had Willie's last time.
Right. So Willie's would be.
Yeah.
But Willie's, there in that example, the words in the logo also encompass the entirety of the structure of the sign. You take Walmart, for instance. On number one, we're going to catch the blue background on the spark. On number two, we're not. We're going to catch more of the spark than we did when it came through under our current ordinance. but we're not gonna catch anything past the spark. Whereas on this one,
Right, and I think if you ask Walmart, they'll say, well, that blue on that spark is our sign.
Right.
They just got by on a technicality. You know, and
Yes.
so we're allowed to have it. That's just my thought, but it's, you know. Now, I do think that maybe our sizes need to be addressed.
Yeah, I would
And,
like
and,
to.
and we're not there with this. We're just looking for how we're gonna measure it. As we go through our sign ordinance, review, we'll be addressing those sizes. And maybe we need to tweak them a little bit because we made this change. So I wouldn't see this as the final be all end all. But we've got to measure it somewhere, and this is, we think, the best way to measure it.
Yeah, I
And
think
that's just mine.
Yeah, I agree. I think option one is the most encompassing, but yeah, I think we need to look at our sizing there.
Right. But we gotta have a basis to start with. So,
Well, this is the first part of the sign
that's right.
changes that we'll be looking at. And
Right.
so, we have to start somewhere. And I do think that exhibit A on the left-hand side, the first one, option one there is a great way for us to measure. There are no questions. There aren't nobody can say, they didn't understand it because it is straight there. If they'd like to look at something different and want to look over here, then there's an option to request a variance for it, right?
That's right.
So I think that,
Because
for me,
this isn't limiting us on a variance, just giving us a baseline where to start from that.
Right.
exactly, and for anybody, reading this, what the sign is. It's the whole sign.
Right.
The circle on the outside, the whole thing. You don't have to go measure this or measure that. It's the whole sign will be done for it. I think it helps our staff to know exactly, and those coming in to request a permit for a sign.
As you get creative, you can really
Yes.
start making signs different if you don't zone it in.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree with that. So, for me, I would,
Ready for that?
do we have a motion?
the draft ordinance is, written for number one option.
Is
Okay.
the ordinance, this one is? Okay,
Ted, have any-
Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah, let's see if Ted.
Like to the point of Tom Hankelman made, is there an effectivity date on this, or would it just go
So
hard
this-
line right now?
This should be effective immediately, but it wouldn't affect anyone who's already got a sign permit in the process. They'd be grandfathered. Anybody who didn't needs to meet this requirement.
Okay, so it's all new sign permits.
All new ones after today.
See if Ted did.
is Ted, yeah, see, look.
Yeah,
Do you have any?
Ms. Councilman
Yeah.
Hopkins?
I'm good with everything that you've just said. I agree.
Okay, all right,
Well, I'll make a motion.
okay,
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance of the city council, the city of Laverde, amending chapter 3, building regulations, city of Laverde code of ordinances by amending article 3.08.102, permitted sign structures and general regulation to define sizing and a method of area calculation for attached building signs using option 1.
I'll second.
okay. So, let's take a vote on that, right? All those in favor say
Aye.
Aye.
5, and no opposition, no opposed. Okay, motion passes. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laverde, Texas, amended section 3.08.102A, permitted sign structures and general regulations to define a method of area calculation for attached building signs, adopting a severability clause and establishing an effective date. Whereas the City Council of the City of Laverde, Texas, has determined that the city's regulation related to the construction of signs should be amended to explicitly define a method of area calculation for attached building signs, and whereas the City Council, having received the final report of the Planning and Zoning Commission and having determined that the revisions to the sign regulations adopted by this ordinance will promote the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the City of Laverde and the safe, orderly, and healthful development of the City of Laverde, is of the opinion that the sign regulations should be revised as set forth in this ordinance. Therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Laverde, Texas, that Section 1, the City of Laverde Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Building Regulations, Article 3.08, Signs, Section 3.08.102, permitted sign structures and general requirements, subsection 3.08.02A is amended to read as depicted in Exhibit A attached here too. Section 2, severability. If any portion of this ordinance shall for any reason be declared invalid, the invalidity shall not affect the remaining provisions thereof. This ordinance shall be effective upon its adoption by City Council today.
So, yeah, we just adopted that.
Okay.
So all items on the agenda will be spent. We just need to, yeah, I think that's it.
We need to public comment.
You don't.
We don't have those on special.
Right.
We done with executive session. We done with
We're
executive.
done with the executive session. We handled that prior to, so. Okay, adjourns till next meeting at 9:14 p.m.
I have somebody's